Okay, another really quick one. Come out to this vehicle out here. It's a 2006 F-150. Complaint is that when the cluster is down, that the power windows do not work. Now, as of right now, key is in the on position. And as you can see here, there's only just a battery light showing up over here as an indicator up on the cluster. And power windows do not work. Door locks don't work. A bunch of body functions don't work. Already just taken off the outside cluster cover here, just the bezel, just so we're getting access here. If I go onto this blue connector and I push it backwards directly on this cluster, let's see if I can get it to stay. If I can get that to stay on, which is where it is now, and I come back over here, power windows do function again. So this is just a matter of looking at a wiring diagram before we jump into this vehicle, seeing what actually makes the controls here and how does the cluster play into all of this. We know we have a bad cluster, really extremely common failure on these. We can actually just wiggle it back and forth and we'll get it to happen. The cluster itself is actually the problem. It's not the connector. Connector terminal pins in there, those things have that nice big gray latch that's on the top, locks it into place. They don't really move around much. What happens is the printed circuit board on the back ends up getting these little stress fractures in there. So even trying to heat up the solder joints and reflow the solder never really helps because the actual board itself starts to flex. Being in one of these big work trucks and going around through work sites and jumping up and down all the time, bouncing all around, I should say, that never seems to work out too well. Try to reflow some of the solder on these. It's never really a cracked joint. It's actually a problem in the PCB itself. So in this case here, this one will get sent out for repair, and then when we get it back, everything will be back in working function. And magically it came back on again by itself. Like I said, just the vibration of the truck, or just the fact that it's trying to flow a little current, and it's just making it just enough there to get through and keep this thing on, and then it goes off. And again, that's not me touching anything, that's just the little ghost that they were trying to figure out in this truck. So that'll be a quick one, and I'll get into a wiring diagram to show how this all works. Okay, so for a really quick summary of this video, this is a quick diagram of the instrument cluster. I've already highlighted it up here for you. Up here we have our central junction box, our fuse box on the interior of the vehicle. Have a fuse here that's hot, number 41, that's hot at all times. Comes down into the cluster to a battery saver relay. This is within the cluster itself. This is actually a processor in the cluster. That's what you can tell from here. Actually, I think I can write right on here. Alright, here's our instrument cluster. This inside is actually just a little microprocessor. All he does is he actually turns on the control side of the relay and will send power down out of the battery saver relay, back down to the accessory delay relay, also in the central junction box, and then that will get turned on also, and that'll be the control side of this accessory delay relay. To see what else this feeds, we have to go a little bit further. We can actually skip on to the next one. I think we just have to scan over here. Let's try this out. Out of that one, and we'll go into the second part of the cluster. Alright, second part of the cluster here, a little bit more in depth. 41 battery saver relay comes down. Here's our control side of that accessory delay relay. When the accessory delay relay comes on, we send out power over here on this fuse number 60, inside 30 amp fuse, and then it feeds down out of this diagram going out to these diagrams right here. So we have 100.2, 100-4. This is also 100-4, but notice it's inside a box. It says without crew cab. We do have crew cab. In this case here, it comes back over again. It says without sliding rear window and moonroof. That's us. So we do have, I'm sorry, this is with power sliding. We don't have this one. With power door locks, we do have this. And this is our audio system here. So this fuse comes down, or we should say this relay feeds in to these two fuses, number 42 and 60. So if we go back out of this now and we go a little bit further and we'll move into the power distribution, we can see what these actually feed. Here's our accessory delay relay. Here's our fuse number 42. Let's see if I can zoom this in a little bit for you guys. And let's see. Won't be able to. Alright, so let me ignore that. Let's get rid of that. And go back in here to our highlighter. So here we are again. Our power comes down. Directly down 42 and 60. power is coming out, feeds into our radio, feeds into our 2 door lock switches on the passenger side and the driver's side, and goes right here to our master window adjust switch. Well, that tells us a lot already. As you saw in the video, we were losing our windows. So if I come back out of this one, we can go directly into the window diagram. And here's that A that we saw before on the other diagram. And that is a feed directly into our master window switch. So, oh, sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't zoomed in far enough. So here's our master window switch here. So if we're not feeding in power here, obviously our windows won't work, our radio won't work, our door locks won't work, everything that they described. And we know that that's happening because of the cluster in this case. Well, hope this turns out to be a quickie, decent video for you guys. Just a little mindset and how we get into it quickly. I know you can see me in the reflection, so I'll wave.